What's up, everybody? Welcome to the F Word Podcast, brought to you by Entertain Facts. I am your host, named Simply G, and with me is Nick. How's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Very good. We've got a couple more days. No, sorry. This is our last show before the boss comes back.
I know.
All right.
And we still got our jobs.
We still got them. Just like last week. We're counting down. We're just making sure that we still have them because every day we're getting our updates. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. On this show, we've got some, like we always do, some movies, some TV. We're going to talk some Game of Thrones, too. Maybe go into a little bit more of that. But if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, if you want us just to send us some feedback, anything like that, please go to the fwordpodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. Even send us a question. We can answer it on the podcast itself. Also on YouTube, leave some comments in there. We've been getting some really good ones lately, some good feedback from you guys. So the show is ever changing. Nick, let's get into this.
Let's do it.
One of the big things coming out of it is Chiwetel Ejiofor is in talks for Scar role in the Lion King adaptation, which I think is an interesting choice. For those of you who don't know, Chiwetel Ejiofor is a amazing actor. He is in movies like, he's been in Firefly. He was in 12 Years a Slave, like incredible movie and stuff. So he brings a lot of power to his roles, and he is just a phenomenal actor. Nick, you're not very familiar with him.
I'm not. I'm going to be perfectly honest, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely a good one, but there was a lot of other people that were in talks to play Scar. It's kind of been back and forth. Me, I wish they would go with the original, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but the original guy that played Scar, he plays Alfred in Batman v Superman, and I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but I'll probably remember it halfway through. If you had your choice for someone to play Scar, you've obviously seen Lion King,
yeah.
Who would you choose?
You know what? That's a tough question, but if I'm going to go just any actor, and I know he's no longer alive, but for some reason when you mentioned that to me, the first name that came into my head was Alan Rickman. And I know
wow.
Right? It's kind of different.
Holy crap, yeah.
Right? It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, ever since he was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves as the Sheriff of Nottingham, I've just always seen, and Die Hard, as Hans Gruber or whatever his name was. Yeah.
Who I'm talking about right now, and I'm blanking on, he played Hans Gruber's brother in Die Hard 3.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, I totally know who I could picture the face, but
totally,
not the name.
Right?
Okay. But yeah, no, I thought Alan Rickman, I don't know, for some reason it just kind of, I thought he would be a killer, bad guy kind of a thing to play. I'll cut your heart out with a spoon, Loxley.
Jeremy Irons is what we're talking about.
Irons,
I can't believe I forgot his name for a second there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman
I know.
would be really... And that would be even better because Jeremy Irons plays his brother in Die Hard 3, and Jeremy Irons did Scar, so Alan Rickman, who was his brother in the first Die Hard, would play Scar. That would just be like
it would have been perfect.
Cool kind of casting.
Yeah.
That's a crazy one.
Random. Yeah.
That's really good. I didn't even think about that. I don't know. Now thinking of Chiwetel Ejiofor, he's got a very distinct voice. Mm-hmm. So does Jeremy Irons. So when you have James Earl Jones coming back to play Mufasa, for me, because those two are the main ones, I mean, you've got Donald Glover playing older Simba. Now we found out, I forget the actor's name, who's going to play the young Simba. Then you've got John Oliver playing Zazu, which I think will be really funny because he's already got that tone in his voice that'll work for Zazu.
Yep.
But Alan Rickman. And when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking of a menacing voice. I don't know who could play Scar right now because I am picturing. All I can do is picture Jeremy Irons.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. But I think it'd be a pretty cool casting. Like, they've got a really good cast so far.
I'd throw it out to the fans. Who would you want to see?
Yes, yeah. Leave a comment below who you think should play Scar, or who would you like to be your favorite fantasy fan casting for Scar. And if you think Chiwetel Ejiofor would be a good one to play. Another thing we've got, this one you're going to love. John Cena in the Bumblebee spinoff.
I saw that and it put a smile on my face, right? Like, I love how on Twitter he got destroyed by one of the other wrestlers. I want to say it's Kevin Owens. I'm not sure, but John Cena made this big stink with The Rock back then that he was a part-time wrestler, and he always said, I'll never be a part-time wrestler. I'll always be...
Sorry, The Rock was a part-time wrestler.
Yeah, okay. Back when he made it into Hollywood in the first...
He was a Scorpion King and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, John Cena's like, no, I'm always going to be a full-time, all-time wrestler. And then, he just kind of did a bunch of tapings on a reality show on similar to a Survivor Man kind of a thing.
John Cena did?
Cena did.
He also was in Trainwreck. with the Amy Schumer movie, and apparently he was hilarious in it.
You never saw it?
I haven't seen it.
Oh my god, he was funny.
He was really good.
It was,
and I
really
heard that
good.
movie's really good. So.
Yeah, no, he was hilarious. Like he actually is pretty good as an actor. Like you know, a lot of wrestlers don't make it. Triple H, one of them. Triple H made it in like
he was in Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity.
Yeah, and he was kind of more of that kind of oafish. Stupid villain. Like he was just kind of there as a name. Yeah. But that movie wasn't that great anyways. But
I think John Cena he'll do well. Apparently, like with this throwback to the 80s, kind of like is where they're going with it, right? It's kind of pre, you know, when he's still kind of in the garbage yard or whatever. But anyways, one of the wrestlers, I think it was Kevin Owens, was like, and you're not a part-time wrestler, ... Got it, right? So he's kind of getting a little heat for it, but I think he'll do well with it. I think it's a great guy to have on there as a franchise. I want to see him do well with it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know how I feel about the Bumblebee spinoff because aside from the first Transformers, I've never been a fan of the Transformers movies, but I did always like Bumblebee. So Bumblebee in the 80s, but it could be a case of Bumblebee's good in the context of the Transformers with all of them. Mm-hmm. Much like when you look at the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the first one was incredible. Yeah. Then when they started taking Jack Sparrow out of it and making it him the focus of it, they lost that charm. He was just good as in the first one. It was a Will and Elizabeth story, and he was just kind of there. Yeah. And this one may or may not work out the same as they think because really, when you look at it, if they just focus on Bumblebee just on his own, then how good is it going to be? Because again, he's good. He's a good side character, at least to me. And you being a huge fan of the Transformers, it would probably be the same thing. Like he's good on the side. I
grew up watching the Transformers, and like with Bumblebee, he was always kind of that little brother character. Yeah. I don't think he would be a great, main character. You know what I mean? I mean, I would rather see a Megatron spin-off. You know what I mean? Like where like how did he become bad or something that, or and bring in a little Starscream or something like that to kind of.
But Starscream wouldn't get his own movie.
No, absolutely
Starscream
not.
would be there in the context of the Megatron, how he became the way he became.
Exactly.
Kind of yeah, that'll be interesting. I think, and I mean, I think he's the first person to be cast. I don't know who else they're planning on casting in this movie, but I think John Cena will just be fun. It'll be a little bit of fan service. It'll get him into some action thing. He's like the All-American thing too, and Michael Bay's not going to be a part of this one apparently, so there may not be as much American fan service as possible, but there's going to be some salutes out there. Who knows what's going to happen? The other one is the Russo brothers have talked about that Avengers 3 and 4 are going to have intense stakes. The problem with comic book movies, most of them, or all of them, is that you don't have as high as stakes. Like the stakes are, oh, the world could come to an end, then everything's fine, or one of our favorites, Captain America Winter Soldier, one of the stakes was Nick Fury died, but then he didn't. Spoilers who haven't seen it. In the first Avengers, Phil Coulson died, but he didn't. Yeah. When you hear intense stakes for Avengers 3 and 4, what's the first thing that kind of comes to your mind?
For me, like the first thing is like someone's going to die. Or there's going to be something... And
stay
dead. That's kind of... Or like, some kind of a, another world, like, is going to be like destroyed, like another planet or something, like
right.
Like Asgard or something like that, where it's going to be. But I in terms of that's the only thing I could see as a higher stakes. But I don't know, like for me, it's kind of, this is a whole new realm for me. I'm just kind of learning as I go.
Sure,
but I don't know. What about you?
That's a good thing. That's a good point to bring up, though. You're learning as you go, because for me, and for sure Anthony, and a lot of other people, like we've been following this from the beginning. I'm not as steeped in the comics. I was steeped in the Spider-Man comics, but not as much as the Avengers as a whole. Like right. I've always liked Thor. I've always liked Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America. And I've always liked Captain America. Right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know what kind of stakes there's going to be. They will have the Black Order, as it's called, and they're considered the children of Thanos, but they're not actually his kids. So there are his mini bosses before the actual boss. So I think it's going to be pretty cool, because the Avengers going up against mini bosses, and then before they get to the big bad.
It's like Mario against the Koopa Kids. Is that kind of where?
Actually, you can put it that way.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And for me, the intense stakes are going to be the fact that I've been following them carefully. A lot of people have been following them carefully. So major characters dying off and staying dead is going to be huge. Yeah. Captain America biting dust, Iron Man biting the dust. It's going to be. That's actually going to hit, especially off of Civil War. Like your two guys that are opposing sides, they fight together, they both die, kind of thing, right? And then it's going to be like for me, I might even consider the fact that maybe our whole phase 1, 2, and 3 or whatever heroes are going to be gone just to make way for the new people. Our Captain Marvels, our Spider-Man. I think Thor might stick around. I would say I could see Thor sticking around, but we'll have to see how Thor Ragnarok ends, because you mentioned Asgard, and if Asgard doesn't get destroyed by Hela in Thor Ragnarok, it might happen in Avengers 3 and 4, right? But yeah, so that's really interesting, and that's good that they think that way. I like the fact that they are thinking like we do want something major to happen, and also that they want those stakes to be there. Plus, when you factor in a lot of these contracts are coming up.
For sure.
Iron Man, or Robert Downey Jr. said himself, he's like, I've been pretty much part-time. Yeah. And I think his contract's either up or has been up, and he's kind of been like, yeah, sure, I'll come here for a few million. You throw me 10 million or whatever, I'll come cameo in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I know Chris Evans wants to do more directing, more solo projects on his own. So when these contracts coming up, you know, that could be a great way for them to do that, right?
For sure.
Nick, if you hear Cobra Kai, what does that mean to you?
The first two words that come out of my head are no mercy.
No mercy.
Yeah.
Well done.
Karate Kid. Cobra Kai. Yeah.
So the reason we're bringing up Karate Kid, and this came up today, is that
Sweep the leg.
YouTube Red, which is something that you can subscribe to on YouTube. No advertisements. You pay for it. I don't know how much it is. I remember originally it was like $5 a month or something.
Right.
They're going to be bringing out a Karate Kid movie featuring Ralph Macchio and William Zabka as their main characters from Karate Kids 1 and 2. I don't remember. I haven't seen the third one.
Beautiful.
And I saw this, I read this, and I'm like, this is stupid. And for two reasons. One, I don't think anybody will actually go to YouTube Red to watch a movie. I think if you pay for it, I haven't used it. I don't use YouTube Red, so I don't know how it's going to be. But it might be worth, like, some people based on nostalgia might pick it up just to see this.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I don't know, these guys are probably working at a Starbucks somewhere in LA trying to get a gig, and they're like, oh, let's bring Karate Kid back just like they did with Fuller House. I don't know. What do you think?
For me, it's just, I think it's funny, kind of cool, whatever, to bring it back. I don't see it. If you could subscribe to YouTube for a month, and like you don't have to subscribe for the full year, I would love to see the increase when this one comes out and then the decrease the month after. Like I would love to see their specs and see what happens like for that just 1 month, because I think a lot of people will do it just to, and not because like, okay, part of it will be the nostalgia factor, but part of it is just to see how bad it would be.
It could potentially be.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, what could happen? Like, I would just love to see, like, William Zabka just be, like, just some drunk, overweight dude who's just, like, totally wrecked.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of would be, like, and then Ralph Macchio comes in, and, I mean, he still looks the same. God bless him. I don't know what he uses as a moisturizer, but good for you, man.
Well, really, when you look at the type of work that those guys have had, Ralph Macchio had a cameo in Entourage.
Yeah.
In like the first or second season.
Yeah.
And at least I haven't followed his career, so who knows where he's at. And William Zabka has been on How I Met Your Mother a couple times. Like the Barney Stinsons of the world will be super excited. But
for sure.
Yeah, the basic synopsis is that William Zabka is down on his luck and opens up the Cobra Kai like dojo. Just called Cobra Kai, and that's the name of it. And it's not so much a comedy, which I think it would have been better if they lean into a comedy thing, because so far by what I've been hearing, it's going to be more of a drama.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it makes sense, because the Karate Kid movies were dramas. They were never comedies. So to kind of follow that stream, like, yeah, they kind of make light of Cobra Kai and How I Met Your Mother and all that. Yeah. And like in mainstream society, they make fun of Cobra Kai. Like, how many times have you heard No Mercy and you think of that right away and sweep the leg, right? Yeah. But I think to make it a comedy would be awful for the Karate Kid franchise in general. And if they ever wanted to reboot it again, good God, hopefully not. But yeah.
That might be the route that they want to do. My other thing too is that it would have been better off. I think it'd be better off if it was a comedy, only for the fact that they can lean into how much of not a joke it is, because it sounds bad when I say it as a joke, but there's that risk of them taking themselves too seriously. And there's movies, like, for me, the Transformers take themselves too seriously, because some people are like, well, how can you like Fast and Furious and how can you like and not like Transformers? Because you look at them, they're very similar. For me, it's like I feel that Transformers, the movies, have taken themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Fast and Furious, like they're leaning into how cheesy they are and all that. Like at least that's how I see it. So
Yeah.
you've got two movies where you shut your brain off and just watch, but it's almost like I feel two different intentions, one wanting to be something and the other one just having fun with what they are, right? So this one might be a case of, why don't you guys just make it a comedy, realize what you are, and just lean into it.
Yeah.
So
it's a great way to look at it, and you know what, like, there could be potential with that, like, yeah, but I think with them, I think what they want to do is, because near the end of that first Karate Kid, where you know Zabka was kind of like, you're all right, LaRusso, like he was kind of changing his mentality. I would like to see them, like, you know, not be enemies as much in this one, and maybe kind of like, you know, or if he is down on his luck, you know, Ralph Macchio comes in and helps him out, and they bring Cobra Kai to a whole new, like, a good guy dojo, you know, and work together. Yeah, exactly, because that's what they were. Like, I just, you know what, I'm picturing that one guy, not Zabka, but the other second character, like his right hand man, who was just the total goofball that was like, yeah, I get him. Like, you know, like, can you picture him in the background? He's like, yeah, you broke his leg. Like,
oh man,
that's the kind of guy.
Like I watched it yesterday.
That goofball's face, I picture it.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, we're gonna swing into some TV stuff because and it coincides because the NBC boss wants to, or potentially is in talks to, revive some old shows. The only one confirmed is that they're bringing Miami Vice back.
Luscious. That's
right.
Great. Yeah.
The other couple that they mentioned were The West Wing, 30 Rock, and The Office. Now, were you a fan of Miami Vice ever as a kid?
For sure. Everybody had the Don Johnson white suit with the pink shirt underneath.
And the rolled up sleeves
and the rolled
and
up
everything.
sleeves, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you care that Miami Vice is coming back? And if you do or don't care, do you think it's another one of those like the Karate Kid where it's like, what's the point of bringing it back?
Do I care? Not even a little bit. No.
And
I mean, like, here's the thing. It was a great show back then, just because at the time, I mean, they had great sitcoms and TV back then, but the thing is there's so much more out there now. Like, something like Miami Vice might get somebody's interest for a couple of episodes just for that, again, pure nostalgia factor. But you compare it to something with, like, the production value of a Game of Thrones, or something with, like, you know, like Suits, or like anything like that.
Those Breaking Bads, those ones that people are devoted to, kind of thing.
Lost.
Yes,
like, I mean, it's
like Lost was big time.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, back then, like, a show like that stood out. These days, no. 30 Rock, same thing. Like, Lithgow was awesome in that show. Like, it was a great show for its time.
You mean Baldwin, Alec Baldwin?
No, for 30 Rock?
Yeah, that was with Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin.
Oh, sorry. What was I thinking? Furthest Rock from the Sun. I was thinking,
no.
So, 30 Rock. Yeah, no. Again, that too, right? Like, so, yeah.
It was good at the
I
time.
was totally got confused there.
I was trying to think. I'm like, Lithgow.
No, but like, and those were great for, like, back in their day. But, like, now it's kind of like, I mean, what's the point? Exactly.
And aside from coming up with something new to compete against your Breaking Bads and those things, like, instead of actually coming up with new content, it's like, well, let's just revive these things to bring nostalgia. Because again, Fuller House is not a good show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's only doing well because of the nostalgia factor.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's what they're going for. 30 Rock.
But who doesn't love Uncle Jesse? I'm sorry.
No, it's true. Yeah. But for to an extent, they're not even in it most of the time anyways, right? West Wing, I heard, was really good.
House of Cards.
But you've got House of Cards.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect thing.
Yeah.
And House of Cards actually has more stakes in it, in the sense, like, it's kind of dwindled off since the first season. Yeah. But they're doing some stuff in there that you wouldn't expect people to do. It brings that fantasy of a politician will legitimately do anything to win, kind of thing.
Yeah. West Wing, I think, has that, like, with the relevancy now, like, with Trump being president and all that kind of stuff. I think now a show like that might garner a few more people to watch, just because of the political situation going on in the United States. So there may be more people who would gravitate to that one. Again, though, like, there are so many other shows out there where they just kind of get lost in the mix. I don't see it as being something where people are going to... Like, Friends, if they brought back Friends for some reason, I think that one would do better. But again, like, good luck getting Jennifer Aniston and all them in the same room and, like, you know, doing something like that, working something like that out. That, I think, nostalgia factor would come in. a coolness factor, just a curiosity. A show like that, I think, would do well. Way better than a Miami Vice or a 30 Rock or a West Wing even. Yeah. Although West Wing, out of those three, I think would do the best.
Would do the best. See, and for me, I'm a huge fan of The Office. And even when I read this, I was like, please don't.
Yeah.
Because you can tell every show at one point, like even at The West Wing, Aaron Sorkin wrote it, incredible writer. And all that stuff in the beginning, like the first few episodes or the first few seasons were huge, but every show ends up losing a little bit of that magic because they get renewed or they didn't think they were going to get renewed. They put it all into one or two seasons because a lot of the times these shows have, okay, you get 2 seasons and then it's like, oh, you're doing well, we'll renew it again. It's like, well, we haven't thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
The Office was another one where I'll still watch it front to back and I still think it's funny because you get invested in the characters and that's a lot what it has to do with it. Yeah. Same with Lost. But then I'm like, don't do it, because once Michael Scott left and they even extended his stuff a little bit, it lost its magic. It was fine for a bit, but it didn't have the same feel as specifically those first 3 seasons were huge.
Yeah,
like just in television. I think another thing is specifically Miami Vice, because when you brought up West Wing and how it portrays or how it could work in today's climate and the way that it is today, that might work. Miami Vice was a snapshot in time.
Yeah,
and a lot of those things from nostalgia is. It's a snapshot in time that represented a certain era that was. You don't see people like racing around in doing cocaine runs with boats and stuff as much because they've tightened up on all borders and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, so what do? You make it more explosions. You make it more unrealistic. And Hawaii Five-0 is one that's been going on for a while now. Yeah, and it's been doing okay, but it's just a cheesy show. Some people like it, some people don't. But that one's based on a cop thing, like, and it's not just a moment in time. So I don't know. I hope they don't do it.
I hope not too. And like getting back to that, like with Miami Vice, the whole technology now that they have with DNA and stuff like that. Like back in the day, we found this shirt. Like, who does it belong to? Yeah. And it's like, look for somebody with a ripped shirt. No, man, run a DNA sample. We'll find them in 3 minutes, and the show's done.
Yeah, the technology is like. Is going way too far.
It's totally different now, right? So, I mean, for something like that, unless they totally like make it like more of a CSI kind of a, with some nice cars and some well-dressed dudes, then there's a chance. But yeah, I still don't see it as working.
Me neither. In terms of Game of Thrones, we had a big episode. For a lot of people that have been reading the books, we finally had Jon and Dany meet. And I gotta say, I think he needs a new hype man. So with Daenerys, and while this is going on, I get to explain a little bit of how Game of Thrones works.
Yeah.
Daenerys and Jon Snow are from a lineage that neither of them know they're related. And after decades, quote unquote, for the book readers, for us it's been 6 seasons now, or 7 seasons now, they finally meet. Because we know that Jon is her nephew, but she doesn't know it.
Oh, okay.
So it's a huge kind of like, holy crap.
But
like,
he knows it?
Nobody knows it.
Nobody knows it.
The only person that knows it is his crippled brother that's now really creepy, which I'll touch on really quickly. Okay. Anyways, but when Daenerys introduces herself, or her right-hand woman, Missandei does, she's got a laundry list, like Queen of the Dragons, Freer of the Slaves. This is like, it goes on for a good little bit, and you're just like, And so Jon Snow shows up, and his guy Davos, his right-hand man, he's like, this is Jon Snow. He's the king of the north. Like, she's got 8 titles. He's just got the one. So I don't know if Flava Flav's not doing anything these days, but he could really use a hype man.
Or the guy from The Knight's Tale.
Or the guy from, the guy. Oh,
he
man,
once spent a year in silence only to better understand the sound of a whisper.
What a great movie.
Yeah.
So we finally had,
tonight.
we had their meeting. Dany was a bit of a whatever, but out of anything in that entire episode, there was one scene with Cersei, who is our quote-unquote mad queen now. She's taken over. She's blown people up. She's on this tear of taking things over. Her daughter died at the hands of the Sand Snakes, okay? The Martells. Euron, last episode, captures the Martells, throws them at her feet, and what does she do? She puts them in this prison, chained just far enough that they can't reach each other. Now, the way that her daughter died is that the main Sand Snake, and I forget her name, the wife, Lady Martell, the mom of them all, kissed her daughter with this poison on her lips. Cersei does the same thing. And she says, you're going to sit here and watch her rot and die with this poison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I got to say, the acting that she does in this thing, she does teeth acting. The way that she expresses her mouth and how her teeth kind of like get this like animalistic,
seething.
the seething thing, but you can tell. And then there's one point where she's trying, for a split second, she goes back to reverting to being a mom, and she goes to her, like, why did you kill my daughter? Because they've never had an interaction. Just killed her, left her off, and whatever, right? And just some of the acting in that scene is just nuts, just crazy. Like and then right away she just switches back. That's in the past now. It doesn't matter. She even goes as far as to tell her guards, make sure you change the torches so she doesn't miss a thing, and they're just far enough. Now this is kind of throwing back to when the Mad King took the Starks, like Ned Stark's dad and his grandpa, hung the one from his armor, burned him alive, while the other one was chained by the throat, just out of reach from the sword. So the one guy's being cooked in his own armor, and the other guy, his son trying to save him, is just out of reach of this knife and strangles himself trying to reach his knife to save his dad. And the king just sits there. Very similar. And like the actress that plays the Martell was incredible in this too. Like, it just blew me away. Huge episode. There's a lot of stuff going on. In the next one's supposed to be one of the shortest episodes. Be a good person. Don't look at the leaks. Just wait till the show comes on, because they've leaked the script. They leaked all that stuff.
I heard about that,
Yeah, not cool.
No.
Just watch it like normal. I mean, even the Infinity War trailer was released. Some guy with his cell phone or whatever. Like, a lot of effort is being put into it. If you really love it, watch it the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Right? If you stream it, at least wait until it's being streamed, so the collective can all together be in like, holy crap, like everybody was last one. So, big things out of Game of Thrones. Dany was kind of being a little bit of a whatever, but we're noticing that Tyrion's able to pull her. But we also know that Tyrion's not a good strategist. But Jorah is now saved by Sam, so hopefully he comes back and whips her army in order. So lots of stuff on Game of Thrones. Again, we're probably going to end up doing one full episode, straight Game of Thrones, doing a recap eventually. But Nick, you've got us some wrestling.
I do. We had a pretty good week this week. So Monday Night Raw, there was no pay-per-views this Sunday, so we had a little bit of a break from pay-per-views, which is odd because like it used to be the WWE would have 4 pay-per-views a year, and now there's one like every 3 weeks. It's getting ridiculous, but now with their own network, I see why they're doing it, and with the two brands of Raw and SmackDown. But we had a week off. Monday night started with Universal Champ Brock Lesnar coming out with Paul Heyman, and they made a pretty big claim that in the final, the Fatal 4-Way match at the next pay-per-view, that if Brock Lesnar loses to Roman Reigns or Samoa Joe or Braun Strowman, whatever, that if he loses his title, he's leaving the WWE. Now, Brock Lesnar probably will leave WWE even for a short period of time. The guy's part-time as it is. So I'm assuming he's probably going to go on a vacation, or maybe he's like leaving to do some farming because he does farm.
Yeah,
so
out in Saskatchewan.
Out in Saskatchewan, exactly. So he's got a little homestead, but it could just be that he's like, it's farming season. Okay. So he's just taking time off. So I do see him losing. I would like to see it to Braun Strowman, but anyway, so he came out. They made that big announcement. It was nice to see him and Kurt Angle interact. So back when Brock Lesnar first came into the WWE, Kurt Angle was the one who put him over. So they fought at WrestleMania. They had a really good match. And it was fun to kind of see them look at each other and kind of smirk and because they're actually good friends in real life as well, right? Like outside of wrestling. So it was kind of fun to see them interacting. Raw as the, Kurt Angle as the Raw general manager, Lesnar as the champ. And you could just tell Angle's I so want to wrestle you again. He's just had that look in his face. The Hardy Boys, I'm kind of disappointed. They had this big kind of rise when they came in for WrestleMania, and they're still a tag team. They're still kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do with them individually now that they're still fighting over the whole delete, Matt Hardy character that he had in TNA wrestling. Hopefully they figure out something. Same thing with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I would like them to do something with those characters because they... right now they're just almost semi-jobbers. They were champions at one point. They lost it at WrestleMania. It's just they're not as good as they used to be. I'd like them to kind of clean up the tag team division and do something with them. Jason Jordan appeared on Miz TV. Okay, I like the Miz. The guy is just one of those guys who back in the day when he first got into wrestling, I guess nobody liked him backstage, and there was a lot of backstage politicking where if they don't like you, there's a good chance that you're just going to be put underneath, the
stepping stone kind of
deal.
You're
going to be a jobber, nobody really likes him, and they'll probably be out of wrestling. Miz was one of those guys who none of the other wrestlers liked. Like, I mean, let's face it, the guy was on the Real World. He wasn't like, he kind of got brought up a little too quickly. They made him champ. Some people didn't like that. So it's kind of funny how now all of a sudden, like, he's still that, like, he's got this like kind of like B-list Hollywood kind of character that he is on Raw, but like he's actually evolved quite a bit. He's actually one of the best talkers on the mic. Like,
right. We talked about that.
Yeah, like he really is good. So now they're using him to bring up Jason Jordan, who is Kurt Angle's illegitimate son. So right. I was wondering where they were going to go with it. The fact that they're putting him with the Miz, so the Miz is going to put him over. I want to see how that goes. I was worried when they pair somebody like The Miz, who's really good on the mic, with somebody like Jason Jordan, who's kind of newer. Mm-hmm. He held his own. Like, he did actually really good. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, he did really well with it. So I'm liking where they're going with that. I like how they're kind of bringing him in. Seth Rollins had a nothing match against Sheamus. It was really not a big deal. Good match, all in all, but it really means nothing. Like, Seth Rollins right now, until they figure out if they're going to do a Shield revival or if they're just going to make him champ again at some point, he's kind of in mid-card land. Finn Balor had a really cool interaction with Bray Wyatt. So Bray Wyatt, who killer promos too. Like, this guy is awesome on the mic. He's just got that, like, Louisiana voice, talks like that. Like, he's just very cool.
Molasses just pouring out of his mouth.
Totally.
Just smooth as hell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just beautiful to listen to. But he comes out, cuts this killer promo, and then like the lights go out and Finn Balor's in the ring with his back to him, like arms out, like, go ahead and hit me. Mm-hmm. Like, I dare you kind of a thing, right? I'm seeing Bray Wyatt. So Finn Balor has this alter ego, like the demon. So I see him coming out when he wrestles Bray Wyatt as the demon, and kind of like demon versus demon, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I see that as kind of, I like the dynamic. In terms of a mid-card, I think that's one of the better matchups that they have going right now. I think it's going to be super awesome as long as they could live up to the hype, which a lot of times they don't. But these two are good wrestlers, so I think they will. I'm curious to see how they're going to go with that. There was a triple threat match. Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman. Roman Reigns wins. No shocker there. The shocker was the fact that they kind of played it in the middle of the show and never left it for the end. And I'll get back to that in a minute, but like, the match was awesome. Like, these guys, when they get together, they put on a killer show. Like, the fans were chanting again, this is awesome. Like, Roman Reigns was doing really good despite the boos. Like, the guy, give him his props. Like, I don't care how many boos he gets. When you pan the audience, there are so many people with Roman Reigns shirts and the vests and the whatever. So, but anyways, they put on a really good match. And then who do they follow it up with? Elias Samson, the guitar player, versus Kalisto. And then Bayley versus Nia Jax. Again, like, it was a women's matchup. Really good matchup. Bayley, Nia Jax. Bayley actually injured her shoulder, so now she's questionable for SummerSlam, which I could see maybe now Sasha Banks coming in, or maybe Nia Jax to come in and wrestle Alexa Bliss, but she legitimately hurt her shoulder in the match or shortly after, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen with that. She won via countout, but I think that was mostly because I think she did get injured, and Nia Jax just knew enough to say, like, okay, I'm just going to hang out outside, lose the match, so that no further damage is done to Bayley. And then they finished the show. The main event was Big Cass against the Big Show, which, like, Enzo Amore, and here's a guy, John Madden, the guy that, like, the backstage guys do not like at all, apparently. Enzo Amore, really good on the mic, but a lot of the other wrestlers don't like him. There's talk that he might go back down to NXT, which is like the development brand.
Oh, okay.
So it's like going back to the minor leagues. Oh. So Cass made it up. Like, he's going to be a singles division star. He fought Big Show. He won because Enzo Amore came in and interfered. And in the end, Big Show knocked out Cass anyways with the super punch, whatever. But yeah,
I want to super punch somebody one day.
Yeah, I know, right?
That'd be the best.
That'd be just
jump off a jump off a ledge and just
boom. Yeah. But anyway, it was a good show. I was just surprised with the fact that, like, why is Cass and Big Show and Enzo Amore the main event? Like, why are they the last impression that you get?
The last thing you leave with, like,
right?
Your dessert, so to speak.
Yeah, it was like wah wah. Like, if it was Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe to finish the night, like, that's a great way to finish an episode of Raw. Like, that was just pure action, great fighting.
Yeah.
Tuesday, SmackDown. United States champ AJ Styles defended against Kevin Owens. He won, and like it was such a bad, like it was a great match between the two of them, but Kevin Owens kind of like he hit the referee, quote unquote, but like it was like an air punch. Like it was like, and like it was such a delayed like soccer reaction from the ref.
I was gonna ask, was it one of those?
Yeah. And like even Kevin Owens like, you're pathetic. Like, like so the ref gets knocked over, whatever, and like there's this thing that he couldn't see. So AJ Styles pins Kevin Owens. Like Kevin Owens had his shoulder up after one count, but apparently the ref never saw it. Unbelievable, right? So he was like, he goes, like Kevin Owens was choked, obviously, incredibly angry. Like AJ Styles wins with the 3 count, even though Kevin Owens' shoulder was up from 1. So he loses his like ever-loving mind in the back with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, and he's like, "Who's your garbage referee?" And I need this match. So they said they're gonna fight at SummerSlam. It'll be AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. Special guest referee Shane McMahon.
Oh,
yeah. And so like what does Kevin Owens do? He's like, really, you're the guest referee? Just the way he was, it was just hilarious. Like I love his mentality, I love his attitude, but he's like, if you want a rematch, this is what it's going to be. The Usos came out, they kind of mocked the New Day. They were kind of doing their like, like their initial hype thing, but you're like, this doesn't sound like the New Day. And it was the Usos, and they're like, they were coming out making fun of the New Day. It was actually pretty good. Rusev defeats Chad Gable. It was the match. When I looked at it, I was like, why are these two fighting? And Chad Gable was partners with Jason Jordan, so who's now on Raw. These guys, I was like, why are they putting these guys together? But Chad Gable, really talented wrestler, he proved himself really well with Rusev. Rusev still won, which we knew was going to happen, but he put on a good match. And like, I think they're just kind of trying to develop his character. Like, no, he's tough.
Yeah.
Like just, and slowly develop him. Here's the one big match was Shinsuke Nakamura versus John Cena. So whoever wins this goes against what's his name? Jinder Mahal for SummerSlam for the world title. So last week, remember I said, I'm like, I hope Shinsuke wins.
Yeah.
He does.
Oh.
So he beat John Cena.
Crazy.
It was a really good match, actually. And these are two totally different styles. This is Japanese strong style versus like, American wrestler John Cena,
classic.
Right? Like
it was classic. Is he like? Would you consider that?
Yeah, totally. Just more of like like a Hulk Hogan style versus somebody who's like more flexible, whatever you want to call it, more out there.
Yeah. Limber.
More limber. Yeah. Wiry. He's wiry. Yeah. So it was a really good match, and like a lot of people. This was a dream match, right? And it really did live up to the potential. There was near the end of it. Kind of a scary moment. Shinsuke Nakamura does this kind of like a back suplex. It's called an exploder suplex, where basically he takes the guy and hurls him over his shoulder, and he flips in midair and lands supposed to be on his face.
Okay.
John does this to John Cena. John Cena landed on his neck.
Holy.
Watching it looked like, oh my God, this guy's seriously hurt. Like
just at the base of his neck,
like he folded. He's like,
holy
he folded. Yeah. So I was like, and when I watched it, and even my wife, who normally doesn't watch wrestling, doesn't react, whatever, she's like, oh my God, that looked like it hurt. And so there was a moment of panic on Shinsuke's face, but like he just kind of he kept going.
He had to keep,
Cena got up right, like he never got up right away, but like he was moving, so like there wasn't damage. You could see him kind of like with his hands gripping his hands. Yeah. So they kind of finished the match like right after that. Basically, it was a really quick finish. At the end of the match, I thought it was really cool. Was so Shinsuke and John Cena kind of like stand there, right next to each other, whatever. Shinsuke mouths the words "I'm sorry" to John Cena.
Oh, okay.
And John Cena replies back, "Don't be sorry," shakes his hand, raises his hand, and goes like, "This is going to be your next champ." Class act, right? But like just the fact that like the look on Shinsuke's face, like looked like he was going to cry. He was
terrified.
like, this was supposed to be his big moment.
Yeah,
and he's like, John Cena's going to kill me.
Or John Cena's going to kill me because I almost legitimately killed him.
Yeah.
Because that is
It was scary. If you get a chance,
crazy.
you guys, check it out on YouTube. If you haven't seen it or anywhere or whatever, check it out. John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura, or like just Google John Cena's neck. Literally that's what I did to see it again. It's scary, but like he gets up from it and like just shows like how indestructible he is. Yeah. But he'll be facing. So then after that, Baron Corbin comes out and attacks Shinsuke, and John Cena comes back to his rescue, helps him out. I just really like the fact that they're giving Shinsuke a chance. I love the raw emotion of it. Like, I know it was an unfortunate incident, and thank goodness he wasn't hurt, but just the look on Shinsuke's face, like, it was just like, you could tell it was like, this is supposed to be my big moment, but I legitimately feel like I'm going to cry. Yeah. But he did awesome. And John Cena, good on him. He kept it together. Yeah. Don't be sorry.
What a beast.
Yeah. So that's what happened with wrestling. Looking forward to see what's happening.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that neck thing is crazy.
Yeah, check it out for sure. Let us know what you thought about that too. If anybody saw it, what your reaction was when you saw it. Yeah.
Man, well, that's a hell of a report. I'm curious about the Brock Lesnar thing, and I don't know if it's it almost sounds like one of two things. I think we were talking about this before. Could be wanting to do his vacation, could be holding out for more money, or just wants to go back to the UFC and do that.
It could be,
one of those three,
and he's known to do that. But he makes the most out of any other wrestler. Like, the dude makes $30 million part-time.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with that full-time. And plus, I do overtime. No problem.
We'll have to talk to the boss when he gets back on
Tuesday. Yeah, come on, Anthony.
So, we asked the question on our Entertain Facts page. So, you can, again, that's on Instagram, Entertain Facts. And this wasn't a question we made up. You've seen this around, but, it's a really good and fun question. The question was, Batman got his name from his fear of bats. Using the same logic, what is your superhero name? Now, this is the best because you're married and I'm about to be married. The.superhero.hub said married man. So he has a fear of being married. I'm going to say this one. Parthices says raped in an alley, man. That's a legitimate one. Yeah. That's dark. That's dark. What else have we got? Someone says Spider-Man. I think I'm with the Spider-Man. That's my fear. Yeah. What else we got?
Is there bungee cord man?
I don't see bungee cord man. Someone just says death.
Death.
_.GeorgeGrover. _ says death.
Yeah.
Black Denim 009. Nothing yet, man.
Okay.
Sean _Logan, Clown Man. Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, you might as well just be the Joker at that point. CXM3RON.exe says anti-Wi-Fi man. What else we got? We got Cockroach Man, Snake Man, Spider Woman, Lone Man. We got some more people. Death is a big one. There's Jump Man _George _Pierre point says jump man. Sorry, so fear of jumping. I mean, I don't know if it's jumping off
of something. I'm assuming. Yeah.
Aim for the bushes.
Yeah.
And
great line.
So good. Yeah, and what do we got?
Aim for the bushes.
Rat Girl. We've got Nick. What's yours?
Heights is mine, so I don't know, but like how you would,
man?
Height Man, I don't know, like it's kind of or
how do you instill that?
Death Drop Man, I don't know.
Death Drop, Death Drop alone would be pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be a play off of Deathstroke. Yeah, mine's straight up Spider-Man. I'm scared of spiders. I think they're the coolest thing ever, but they're scary as hell.
Yeah.
If I was gonna go more literal, I'd be buried in a box alive, man. That would suck.
Yeah,
mind you, the vengeance side of me, which exists and it's there and it's both liberating and scary, that was what I would do. If I was on a rampage and I just lost it and I was purging, I just put people in boxes in the ground.
Yeah.
Scariest thing ever. But yeah, that was our question of the week. Thank you so much for all of you who put in there. There was a ton of people for that question, and it's just a really fun question to do. I want to just see how many replies we had. 1,236.
Wow.
That is an awesome number of people.
Amazing.
So you guys have a lot of fears out there, and we want to exact a lot of justice on some people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now we need those 1,236 people to just watch or listen to these podcasts.
Listen to the podcast, comment below, and send us an email at thefwordpodcast@gmail.com. Go to Instagram and Entertain Facts, and we're going to see you next week. Nick, thank you for joining me for one more week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We got Anthony coming back next week.
Boss is back.
Boss is back.
Party's over.
I am Simply G. Thanks for tuning in.